Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to our English news program coming to you from Canal, Algérie in today's top stories. Zionist bombings on Gaza Strip continue. No less than 31 people, including 6 children, are dead since Friday. Algeria and other international bodies strongly condemn the barbaric aggression. Algeria hails the Malian attachment to the peace accord stemming from the Algiers process and the conclusions of the Bamako high-level meeting. The Makhzen regime multiplies agreements with the Zionist entity. Many visits of the occupying ministers took place the past month with no official condemnation of the aggressions on Gaza. Two tragedies in Iran, a traffic accident claiming 8 deaths and 5 injured, with 2 people perished after a rock slipped in Bir el-Jir beach. We conclude with Tizi Ouzou and the 8th Yeni Jewelry celebration, heavily attended by craftsmen despite difficulties. First in our news, the Zionist bombardment on Gaza Strip continued on Sunday, claiming more deaths, including 6 children. In the meantime, the international bodies keep denouncing these aggressions. A UN meeting is expected today. Further details with our correspondent in Gaza, Wissam Abu Zaid, and our desk reporter Najah Tayyar.
The airstrikes victims on Gaza continue to increase on the 3rd day of the Zionist army's attack that targeted innocent civilians, claiming 35 deaths, including 6 children and over 200 injured. The rescue teams, helped by the citizens, have managed to remove out 8 new martyrs from the rubble, including 2 women who died after the collapse of their house in Rafah, southern Gaza Strip, bombed by the Zionist warplanes. The death toll is expected to rise since the aggression on Gaza is still underway. The Palestinian resistance, and in relation to this aggression and the assassination of one of its leaders in Rafah, defended itself by launching a number of rockets at the Zionist cities and targets. The situation is chaotic in Gaza Strip, where more than 650 houses have been reduced to ashes, a sad scene especially since the power plant is shut down. In hospitals, medical teams are doing their best to save more human lives. A call is made to humanitarian organizations to put pressure on the Zionist entity to allow the delivery of medicines and medical equipment to treat the wounded. Many of them are in critical conditions. It is also expected that the United Nations Security Council will meet on Monday to examine the aggression of the Zionist occupation forces on Gaza. Palestine has urged the United Nations Security Council to assume its responsibility to stop these aggressions and provide security and protection to the innocent Palestinian people.
This aggression against Gaza Strip sparked a strong international condemnation, including Algeria, among many other countries. In the same context, the Arab League and the General Secretariat of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation denounced the invasion of Al-Aqsa Mosque by hundreds of extremist settlers and one of the members of the Canal under the protection of the occupying forces. They also condemned the Zionist aggression against Gaza Strip. The same goes for the Arab Union, in the words of Moussa Faki Mohammed, the chairman of the Arab Union Commission. Algeria has praised the commitment of the Malian parties and the movements that have signed the peace and reconciliation agreement in Mali, stemming from the Algiers process. This comes at the end of the proceedings of the high-level meeting. Algeria, as a neighboring country for Mali and the leader of the international mediation and the head of the agreement follow-up committee, has valued the decisions taken in the second edition of the high meeting in Bamako, namely the disarmament and the reintegration of fighters and chain of command in institutional and constitutional matters. In accordance with the statements of the President of the Republic and its responsibilities in the international community, Algeria has also affirmed its availability to support the efforts by the Malian parties to implement for the implementations of peace and reconciliation agreement in Mali stemming from the Algiers process, which is considered an important element in the current transition process. The Minister of Foreign Affairs in the national community abroad, Ramtan Al-Amamra, held discussions with his Malian counterpart, Abdoulaye Diop, now on a visit to Algeria within the framework of regular political consultations between the two brotherly countries and peoples. Following the meeting, the Malian minister made this statement to the press.
President Tebboune reaffirmed the attachment of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria to the unity and territorial integrity of Mali, as well as the importance for the Malian party to advance faster for the implementation of the Peace and Reconciliation Agreement stemming from the Algiers process, which bears the Malians' best interest. His analysis of the situation is appreciated and shared by Malians.
The President of the National People's Assembly, Brahim Boughali, represented the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, at the inauguration ceremony of the new President of the Republic of Colombia, Gustavo Petro Urrego. The President of the National People's Assembly has transmitted the greetings of the President of the Republic to the elected President, to the Vice President, and to all the Colombian people, wishing them success in achieving progress and peace. The participation of Algeria in this important historical event for the Colombian people through a high-level delegation of the National People's Assembly and of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the national community abroad clearly reflects the readiness of the President of the Republic to upgrade the relations between the two countries. A traffic accident claimed 8 lives and caused the injuries of 5 people on Sunday morning in Iran, according to civil defense. The accident occurred on Route 84 in Ain al-Turk following a pile-up. The Gendarmerie Brigade of Ain al-Turk opened an investigation to determine the circumstances of this tragedy. Another deadly accident in Iran that left 2 people dead and another injured from the same family. A rock has slipped off a cliff in Ain Faranin Beach in the municipality of Bir el-Jir, according to Civil Defense Department. The intervention required big human and material resources and a specialized team of more than 65 officers of various ranks. While Palestinians suffer the worst acts of violence committed by the colonizer, the Makhzen regime continues to sign more agreements with the Zionist entity, another deception for the Palestinian people. Manal Ammari with the details.
While the Zionist entity's aggression on the Gaza Strip that resulted in dozens of deaths, including children, is strongly condemned by Algeria, Morocco continues to strive for consolidating the relations with the Zionist entity and has not condemned these aggressions until now. The president of the Moroccan Observatory Against the Normalization accused the Moroccan Foreign Affairs Minister, Nasser Bourita, of being a Zionist extremist. Bourita, who declared in a press release that Moroccan blood runs in every Zionist's veins, and called on his fellow citizens to not be overzealous of Palestine. According to the president of the observatory, this is a shameful statement, and Bourita must leave. Morocco and the Makhzen regime continue to sink lower, namely since the signing of the peace agreements with the Zionist entity. The series of successive visits conducted by various senior officials, in addition to the signing of several cooperation agreements. Observers are talking about a real Zionist invasion of this neighboring country, especially since Rabat is about to receive the Zionist prime minister, who will be visiting for the first time and for a precise mission. It is worth recalling that in last April, following various raids conducted by the Zionist army on various mosques and repeated attacks on the Al-Aqsa Mosque, Algeria revealed and denounced the inaction and passiveness of the Al-Quds Committee in charge of watching over and protecting the holy sites, presided by Mohammed VI, that only gathered twice since its creation in 1975, the last of which was held in 2014. The Palestinian cause remains a national priority for Algeria and one of the principal contention issues with the Makhzen that lost all credibility from Moroccans who continue to denounce this normalization with the Zionist entity.
Moroccans are to organize today's sit-in against normalization in front of the Moroccan parliament to denounce the Zionist aggression against Gaza Strip and in solidarity with the Palestinian people. Still in Morocco, demonstrations are suppressed and punished by the Makhzen regime. The Moroccan authorities frequently torture their citizens as part of a long tradition carried out in the country's prisons. Manal Ammari with the details.
Demonstrations continue in Morocco without the people's anger subsiding against the criminal regime that turned a deaf ear in the face of the people's legitimate claims. Moroccans are neglected by an agonizing regime, and the list of demands continues to get longer day after day. From price hikes, human rights violations, normalization with the Zionist entity, freedom infringements, to the deterioration in the purchasing power, which has become part of the people's bitter everyday life. The overwhelming testimonies once again proves the direct involvement of dictatorial and torturous Moroccan regime. Ali Arras, a Belgian-Moroccan citizen arrested in 2008 by the Spanish authorities following the Makhzen's demands, was accused of arms smuggling for a terrorist network and was extradited to Morocco to be imprisoned for 12 years, during which he was tortured, humiliated, and denied freedom. They humiliate you, they insult you, they spit on you. They kicked and punched me while asking where I hid the arms. I could not even walk or stand up. Under the torture, you wouldn't be able to resist. I was suspended for hours with my arms and legs hanging up and my head hanging low. A phone was ringing all the time. A commander on the other end was telling them to not return without the weapons, and the other saying, "Yes, sir." I was tortured, I was mistreated, I wasn't even able to stand up, while they claimed that they did not torture in Morocco, telling me to stop lying. This video was filmed in 2012 but didn't surface until 2015, clearly showing the injustice of the Makhzen regime that is on the edge of collapse, if not already in the midst of political collapse. It was very hard to reveal the visit in 2012 by the UN Special Reporter Against Torture with his medical examiner. They discovered burn marks, including ones caused by cigarettes, in addition to other marks on my knees and arms. All of this was approved by the Special Reporter Juan Mendez, who made a report, and from there revenge started. They persecuted me, and they persecuted me. I am a survivor of all this torture. Since his release on April 2nd, 2020, Ali continues to fight to prove his innocence, especially to denounce the Makhzen regime's criminality and atrocities. Him and his free fellow citizens keep demonstrating to demand a decent life and their basic rights.
The 5th International Congress of the Sahrawi Students was crowned with a final communique to be sent to the international organizations, urging them to help the Sahrawi people snatch their independence. The event was marked by a heavy participation of students hailing from the four corners of the world, who reiterated their support for the Western Sahara people to self-determination and for freedom. Let's head to Tizi Ouzou for the Jewelry Festival of Etienne. The edition ended yesterday after 3 years of absence. A large participation was recorded despite the numerous difficulties faced by the craftsmen. Najah Tayyar with the details.
The 16th edition of the Jewelry Festival of Etienne kicked off on Thursday, and the artisans were immensely glad to meet in this event that was suspended for 3 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But the increased price of the raw material caused some unease in the selling process of the big pieces. Visitors this time are few in comparison to the previous years. As for jewels, we are selling the small pieces only. That, I believe, is due to the decline of the purchasing power. Since the coral is rare and expensive, the big pieces come out quite expensive that we find no buyer. I won a prize of the best jewelry artisan at the level of Bniani. I would say that Bniani and Kabil jewelry look always ravishing. The visitors coming from everywhere have been waiting for this edition to attend the festival, observe the mesmerizing jewelry, and have the chance to buy the pieces that would be offered or very cherished. I came from Bouira. We came as a family to this very pleasant festival. I bought a ring and I would like to buy something else. This jewelry festival gathered numerous artisans, but unlike the previous editions, it did not witness the same enthusiasm as before. Still, the participating craftsmen assure the event glamour recovery to preserve this vital sector.
That was it for our English news program. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.